Hey folks, I haven't done a video in the truck in a while, but this is my last week, my time in. That should be done by maybe like Wednesday, Tuesday. We'll probably work like 3 days this week. I come across a news story. Richard Murdoch, he's a founder and CEO of Fox News, saying that there's issues that the right should be involved in, and that we have to stay in the present, fight for the future, basically. And, basically saying that, basically kind of giving Trump a warning. And the gentleman that was bringing the story to my attention made the statement that there's a lot of shareholders in Fox News, a lot of things like that behind Fox News. We all know this. And that the fact that he makes that statement, that's a lot of voices speaking through him. Because we all know that Fox News is but a mouthpiece for the rich, for the billionaires. That's all there is to that. It's a mouthpiece for the rich. Now, for me, I've said this before, that there would come a time where they would, break stride with Trump, if there'd be a sense, that I'm gonna coin it as the post-Trump era. There's gonna come a time to where they realize that screaming about tranny bathrooms and the Mexican caravans and things of that nature, there's going to come a time where that's not politically viable anymore, that's not gaining votes, that's not going to, that's not going to galvanize the voting bloc, because so much of what they do on the right is searching for a hill to die on. And that's just how it is. They're always searching for, and you see a lot of these guys actually die of COVID. A lot of these shock jocks, and so in a certain kind of way, they found their hill to die on, if you want to be honest. A number of them have. Not to celebrate that, but in reality is reality. I think that it's pretty interesting to see them finally come to that, because I guarantee you he didn't just say this on a whim. This wasn't just something he said just because it came to his mind. This is something that was probably talked about with Trump. I've said it before that when Trump lost the election, you can't get me to believe that the elite didn't warn him. Because I think Trump scared a lot of people when COVID first started, and how he downplayed it. I'm sure the rich knew about it. It's okay to downplay it, but you downplay it to such an extent to where people got scared. You're lying. You're saying COVID's not real. COVID's this, COVID's that. You've always had conservatives use the tactics of Trump, but you've never had someone just literally come out and tell the people that, truth is not true, that you can only believe me, you can only take what I say as law and as truth. You've never had that before. So it's kind of like the Trump base is kind of a cult. Not all of them, but and a lot of that last year of Trump's administration was really kind of a cult. The Stephen Miller and people like that. You really kind of saw that he was surrounding himself with fanatics, with people who had a certain fanatical type belief in Trumpism and extreme capitalism and destroy all the environmental rules, all that type of stuff. What did Trump say? Every law you make, you have to destroy 2 laws or something. I mean, this is what I'm talking about. And that ideology would have always been dangerous, but in this era of climate change getting really bad, in this era of other things we're facing, you've really seen it's a really dangerous time. You know, it's a really dangerous time to be so anti-scientific, I think. That's my belief. And I think that for the elite, there was a line crossed. You know, there was definitely a line crossed of, yeah, you can do this. You can play the racism and all that for a while, but there's a limit. You know, you're still the president, and you should still act like it. And he never did that. He never became president. He was never presidential. He was a partisan from the very beginning. You know, Trump never put that aside. He was playing to a particular base. He was a president for a particular base, and that was it. And you could see it, and you could see by his very actions that, you know, that's what that was. That he was only playing for a certain segment of the population. So I don't know. I'd really like to believe that the Trump era is over with, because we've talked about what will the GOP look like post-Trump when he's gone, and he's not really gone. You still got DeSantis. You still got other people up there who are keeping his vision alive, keeping his ideology alive. That still is very real. Very real. We have to acknowledge that, what that is. You know, will they become more libertarian, or will it be a far-right extremism? You know, only time will tell. But it is something that we should take very seriously, and we should be very concerned with in regards to his legacy and what he will leave behind. You know, for me, Trump is he's an actor, he's a con man, he's a grifter, he's a person who really has no integrity, no legitimacy, and the people around him that surrounded him are really caricatures of what they were before. In some ways good that we now know, you know, but it's also kind of sad to know. I've talked about this before, that what you learn with Trump and COVID is that honestly, it doesn't matter how many military drills you do on, you know, climate change or on pandemics or whatever, because you could always get a president who simply chooses to just, get rid of the pandemic playbook, get rid of, that just says, I don't believe in these things, and gets rid of them. I mean, it's terrifying to me to look at. It's terrifying to me to actually look at how the next pandemic could be worse. That a president wouldn't take the high road and say, listen, I'm going to do what's right, and I'm going to protect every American because the pandemic coming. It's unthinkable. And, no matter what anybody says, to me, it should actually be criminal. It should actually be criminal for a president to do that in a major emergency, just downplay it and not really care about Americans, recognize his role as leader, and to act responsibly. It's unthinkable for me. I mean, and we look at the fact that Trump wastes 2 months. He's briefed 10 times. We look at the fact that you had the man at BARDA that said that these companies, I think like the air filters, they were contacting them because these countries wanted to buy, China and others, wanted to buy all their equipment to make masks and things of that nature. And, the fact that he kept sending emails, nobody would contact him, nobody would look at what he said, it's another, that bothers me, because something could have been done. Something could have been done to prevent COVID from getting really bad. This isn't just something that happened. This is something that could have been prevented and wasn't, and that's sad to me. That's very sad to know that, to understand that him being briefed 10 times, wasting time with the emails, not believing in that, and then getting rid of the pandemic response team, getting rid of the pandemic playbook that Obama left. I mean, the right likes to talk a lot about how COVID was a Chinese hoax, but you never hear anybody on the right talking about all the missteps and the failures that should have. It's like, it'd be like having a nuclear fail-safe on a plane. And people are like, look, this pilot shouldn't be flying. Now we're going to check him off to fly. And then the plane is unsafe. Now we're going to check it off to fly the plane. And then you have fail-safes on the bomb, nuclear bomb, that are removed. And then you have, that's to me what COVID was. This was something that could have been mitigated. And all the right wants to talk about is, well, it's not real. Oh, it'll go away. Oh, it was China. I really feel like, even for the right, I feel like Trump crossed some lines. And I think people aren't going to forgive him or forget the lines that he crossed. I think that what he did was dangerous and reckless. And he was criminally negligent in his office of president, presidency. I think his administration will go down in history as really a presidency that allowed millions of Americans to die unnecessarily. And so, I've been waiting to see somebody stand up and confront Trump, speak out in some way, and that might be what this is now. I mean, it's just like when Pence came out, and Pence said that in essence, he felt like, Pence felt as though, he said, we'll never agree on what happened January the 6th. And he moved on with it. Well, that tells you everything right there. He's never going to question Trump's politics, but he knows as well as everybody else does that his life was threatened. And the fact that Trump didn't talk to him for like a week, 2 weeks afterwards, come on, man. Who does that? This is your vice president. They were talking about hang Mike Pence. This is your vice president, and you don't call him for a week, 2 weeks? Come on, man. What'd I tell you? You was a martyr. Trump already, metaphorically, Trump already had the black suit waiting. He had the black shoe shine. He's ready for you to die. It was like Paulus with Hitler. It was like, hey, like, I'm giving you the field marshal baton. I'm giving you all this, but I don't expect you to come back. I'm giving you this, so you die. You die holding ground in Russia. That's to me what he was. He was a martyr. You can dress it up, you can clean it up, you can use fancy words, but that's what Pence was. And I want to say it's sad, but it's not surprising to me now that it would take a threat against this man's life, his family, his wife's life, for him to say, yeah, maybe me and Trump ain't boys. Maybe we don't hang out no more. That's to me, we've watched this division. And I think this is a furtherance of that. It isn't just about Trump. It isn't just about his presidency. It's about everything around him. This is about the future of the people who are bringing forward his presidency. Bringing forward his legacy of, calling everybody a communist, and Marjorie Taylor Greene called people transvestites. And this is what that is. This is a continuance of a legacy of viciousness and a legacy that's playing to the uneducated, and a legacy that's playing to people who really just want to do violence anyway. They're living in a society in which they feel aggrieved, and Trump spoke to that aggrievement, and that's all it really was. He was speaking to an aggrieved party that has no real stake in the future. I mean, that's really what it is. The people at January the 6th, they have no stake in the future. It is, anyway, thanks for listening.